As the runoff to the 2023 general elections gradually draws near, the relevant bodies are adopting different strategies for setting agenda as it relates to their calling. ARCON, now known as ARCON, the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, organized a one-day summit tagged Leadership Responsibility and Compliance with the Law in Nigeria on Tuesday, 23rd of August 2022 at Shiba Center, 20 Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, Maryland, Ikeja, Lagos.
We're moving forward. It's about time that ARCON took its rightful place in the scheme of advertising practice in Nigeria. And so that change is actually to reinforce the regulatory authority of the council in terms of vetting, approving, and ensuring that we maintain the highest standards of advertising practice in the country.
It's not just the name change, because if you dwell only on the name change, we might lose the essence of the change itself. The change has come to be on account of the strengthening of the functions of INEC through the law.
The change of name, it's important, even by the function that it's supposed to be performing now, or is going to be performing now. It's now really giving it a regulatory framework, which never used to be in the former ARCON law.
It was a gathering of relevant stakeholders in the advert space, with AK Adufe coordinating the event as the anchor. The recognition was as swift as the program gradually unfolded. Preparatory to the commencement, our media crew sought to know the expectations from the guests.
The expectations are generally that our political partners and stakeholders, the whole idea behind this is just to, it's more, we're not teaching or preaching, we're just generally discussing and sharing ideas and thoughts and drawing our attention to what we already know in terms of the advertising laws and compliance.
I expect that those who would lead the advertising campaigns that are likely to come for the 2023 elections will do it in accordance with the law, and that they would respect themselves.
With guests fully settled in, the registrar, now the Director General of ARCON, Dr. Lekon Fadolakbo, FCA, RPA, delivered his welcome address.
Political advertisement has been a major point of contention around the world, and Nigeria has not been an exception. Regulatory frameworks are made and shaped to repel the negative consequences which usually trail such campaigns. My decades of career in the advertising industry availed me a requisite information and experience on the effect of political advertising in several pre- and post-election periods in Nigeria. Close monitoring sadly shows that as much as media has provided the podium for the unapproved political campaign to strive, the action of promoters or propagators of such political ideas and causes are the foremost factor that deserve to be addressed. Every political party is hereby encouraged to be very conscientious in character as well as in their actions. This forum is designed to inspire, reorient among Nigerians, and to enable mutual respect and tolerance of diverse views for a more united Nigeria. The role of interest group in ensuring compliance with the rule of law with a view of eradicating unethical political advertisement in all its forms should not be diluted. The political parties, political office aspirants, media, and all relevant stakeholders should realize their potential and pursue diligently as they are all gatekeepers.
This was closely followed with the chairman's opening remarks when he hinged on the timeliness of the seminar.
This is the time to exercise communication experts and the professional politicians in our land. I am particularly appreciative of the efforts by our new rebranded Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCON. I'm grateful for this opportunity to romance once again with my lifelong mate, advertising. After a short but eventful sojourn in the political terrain of our country, Nigeria, I dabbled into the political terrain as a professional in politics, where I had the unusual interaction with professional politicians. I am here, as it were, to moderate the discussion to be led by the keynote speaker with an array of experienced practitioners on the theme, responsibilities of leadership in compliance with advertising law in Nigeria.
Delivering the keynote speech, Mr. Akinrebi, the former Resident Electoral Commissioner of Lagos, counseled all to study the INEC code that emphasized on the political adverts to be decent, legal, relevant, devoid of religious and ethnic bias, not to instigate, cause fear or violence. He further buttressed that all adverts must pass through advertising standard panel for ratification before activation.
ARCON is indeed truly awake to its new responsibilities under the law. Since I know we have among us here accomplished professionals as panelists, who I'm certain will do due duty to this subject under consideration, I will not want to take the wind from their sails by already dwelling extensively on their areas of specialization. If you do not obey the simple law of breathing in and out, we cannot live here on earth. It is impossible. Such is the importance of the laws of nature in our lives. In a similar way, this should be the importance we place to complying with our laws. For we cannot belong as individual human beings or as a group of individuals to a society dedicated to performing certain functions towards the peaceful growth and development of that society if we do not comply strictly with the laws of that society. The Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCON, is a creation of the law, and so is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and so are other agencies whose functions are directly or otherwise connected with the forthcoming elections. As legal entities, these agencies, in fulfillment of their functions under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, have also put in place guidelines to enable them perform their functions appropriately. These particular guidelines or enabling laws are what we are here today to examine and call attention to in order to ensure a smooth democratic process culminating in the successful conduct of the general elections next year. So campaign managers, media directors and consultants should, on behalf of their principals, undertake the task of ensuring compliance with the laws in all respects.
He concluded with a brief story on the need to fully implement our laws irrespective of anybody involved, as it happens in other climes. The panel discussion further explored the issues raised in the paper presented was as relevant as expected, as the panelists represented different relevant sectors as it concerns regulations. This was moderated by the chairman, Senator Akin Odunsi, and advert guru himself.
The Parliament, working with INEC, have done a good job of fine-tuning the electoral processes through the new Electoral Act 2022 that has taken care of so many, of course not totally, of the loopholes identified and isolated in our electoral processes at the time. And it has dealt more on the issues of political advertising and went on to highlight what the do's and don'ts, the compliance issues, the reporting issues, the responsibility issues, of course, the mutual respect, and the key issue of staying on the issues and not being on the fringes of insolence and things that will not mold the unity of the country and respect to human dignity. If we're committed to leadership, coming together to ensure that we do the right thing and take responsibility to ensure that the right thing is done by those who we lead and those who follow us, the society will be a better place. The new ARCON Act has placed greater responsibility of regulation on this agency, and they have a bigger role now in the advertising ecosystem. But beyond doing that, I also think that they need to invest more and intensify public education, and must reduce over-commercialization of processes, which sometimes deters people from even doing what they ought to do. What they ought to do by ways of getting things done, by approvals, what should get to ASPs, it has become more of revenue and finance than achieving what ought to be achieved.
In the case of MIC against ARCON, in the case of ICMC against ARCON, the issue that came before the Court of Appeal was on applicability of the Advertising Practitioners Registration, etc. Act, Cap A7 2004 as amended. The courts were called upon to look at the law, beginning from even the preamble, the introductory part of it. And what killed ARCON's vision owners originally was in that place. The moment any court looks at the preamble, it just says that the law is not applicable to everybody. So what the Court of Appeal established in all the cases was that if you are a registered advertising practitioner, you are the only person that that particular act that was repealed applied to. It does not apply to people who go into different parts of the business. That was what the Court of Appeal settled. Now, in the course of reviewing the law, we had 31 sections in the old law. In the new act, we have 63, 64 sections with various parts attached to it. And this also line up with the new code of advertising practice, which became effective 1st December 2021, which also will need to be reviewed to bring it in conformity with the new law. Because today, you will notice that section 2, subsection 2 of the new ARCON Act gave it a dragnet that allows the law to be applicable to everyone.
We're now just getting to the point where the political class are realizing that there's something called advertising professionals, and they're just realizing that there's something called ARCON that vets. It will save you the trouble, just like the lawyers will save us the trouble of going to court. If you first start by working with professional marketing communication professionals, because we know all these things. The first problem is that many of those who are running those campaigns are not professionals, so they don't know. That is the first problem. Now, even the level to which they are exposed, they don't have the knowledge of working across different industries. So, sir, you advise clients that talk to the people that are professionals, because they go to talk to a lot of non-registered ARCON practitioners who don't even have a clue about what they're saying. So my first advice is that to advise political clients, we will first advise that they talk to professional marketing communication agencies, and we have a list. ARCON has all of them. They are in different segments of that is the first starting point, and it will save you time, trouble, and energy and money. I think that's the first starting point. The second point is, I love the fact that a lot of political organizations are beginning to understand what we do. Like, some different organizations. We have to market our services and our capabilities to all the political clients. And I would like the honorable sir that is here, in fact, I'm so excited, to help us have a forum where our professionals can come and talk to some of the people in political parties to explain to them why they need to work with marketing communication industry professionals. And we will save everybody the trouble and the trauma of getting to the point of these funny campaigns.
We really need to tell the broadcasters to play by the rules. And in playing by the rules is that they need to pay their license fee to be legitimate broadcasters in Nigeria. Having said that, I must say that the summit is timely and very, very appropriate. And I must buy the definition of the DG ARCON for giving us a comprehensive definition of political advertising. Everybody has a role to play. And that role is now that we really need to fine-tune that role to enable us go into the field properly. And the field is already set. And for your information, we've been having a lot of breaches when it comes to political advertising. The place is already somehow toxic in the sense that the indecency in the language of play is not something to write home about. The hate speeches that is already flying both in the broadcast and the press media is nothing to write home about. At the end of the day, all of us are members of that same society, and that society is our country, Nigeria. Everybody need to play by the rules, and in playing by the rules is why ARCON has come up with this wonderful event to really fine-tune every stakeholder to come on board for us to champion a new way forward for how we should be able to package our marketing communication in area of political environment.
We have been told that the advertising standard panels will be that clearinghouse where they will receive so many materials for approval. How are they going to cope? Luckily for us here, we have a member or chairman of the advertising standards panel. I want her to educate this gathering, the arrangements they have made to deal with the deluge of requests that would come to them.
In terms of advertising standards panel, we are one of the organs of the ARCON, as stated clearly in the new act. We continue to perform our responsibilities in terms of vetting and approving of all advertisements that will be exposed in Nigeria. Now, in terms of whether or not we are competent or capable or well equipped to take on the barrage of advertising, political advertising campaigns, I would say we are good and ready. And I'm sure that even as of a few months ago, we have discussed this at the panel level, that the time will come when we will face a barrage of such nature, and we have already started putting resources in place. We do have our regular meetings, which at this point in time will have to increase to accommodate the barrage, and of course, even from the back end, we are quite well resourced to take on all these responsibilities. So do rest assured, all those political ads will be vetted and approved, but first and foremost, they must be presented for vetting and approval.
INEC particularly is obligated to monitor political parties and by extension the candidates to ensure that they do not go beyond the campaign expenses limit as provided for in the Electoral Act 2022. So as we move out, that will be what we'll be dealing with. It's not that we cannot work out any deal between advertising entities as well as candidates or whoever we want to advertise or with them. It's not with us to do that, but our home is to ensure that the campaign expenses limit, no party or individual candidate goes beyond that. That would be a violation.
The interactive program created an avenue for the participants to air their views and ask questions, which was duly responded to.
I want to believe that the practitioners themselves knows the rule. Our major concern is what the keynote speaker said during his presentation regarding the social media online. What exactly are we doing about it? Because social media can set this nation on fire. Most of the things that we are witnessing in the country regarding hate speeches usually emanate from social media.
In INEC guidelines, there is provision for the Commission to monitor social media campaign. In order to monitor political advertisement campaigns through social media, INEC shall from time to time require websites of candidates and or political parties to file affidavits about their social media sites in a prescribed form issued by the commission that will include, but not limited to, the following: A, contact telephone number, email address, web page addresses and those of their sponsors, social media accounts and those of their affiliate supporters, etc. Details of social media sites over a period of time. ARCON is not regulating social media. It is only going to regulate advertising that passes through the social media.
The regulatory bodies, everybody involved, the ARCON, the MPC, what are they doing in sensitizing all these political parties? Because even apart from the political material, we have had series of experiences that they will bring material to us, we reject it because we know that it won't fly. And somebody will be telling you somewhere that station A is taking it. And they will take it, they will collect the money. Everybody will need money. We are in the business to make money. Is there anything that the regulatory bodies they are doing to sensitize the political party?
Section 34 of ARCON Act deals with offenses. Now, some of the offenses may require the search of premises to get documents to back. For instance, if somebody allows a material to be transmitted, broadcasted, exposed, without that particular product going for vetting, and the matter is brought before the tribunal can conduct a search if it has all understanding that something is there to prove that the material actually passed through them without going through the vetting.
You have a situation where a politician brings an advert, does not go through professional body, and wants to get it published quickly in the newspaper. There will be sanctions in the newspaper for publishing what it should not publish. Professionalism is important in Nigeria. I've learned a lot here today because the professionals in this field are the ones who know the field very well. And my comment is that everybody in starting out their career should stick with their profession for the rest of their life.
After all said and done, the communique committee led by Mr. Babs presented the summary of what's transpired.
ARCON should, as a matter of importance, effectively sensitize political parties as well as the general public as regards political advertising in the seasons that we are right now. Also, all political advertising should be issue-based and be devoid of sentiments, attacking of personalities, ethnicity, religious biases, and emotions. It is well agreed today that issue-based is what political advertising should be all about.
Ijedi Yoha appreciated all for coming. Our crew took time to interact with guests and participants on their impression of the program.
It's a milestone. It's a giant step in the right direction.
We believe that success in 2023 general election.
All we've been fighting for, it may not be all, but majority of what we've been fighting for, I think this city and the new ARCON Act has been able to address it.
Political advertising and the process of electioneering, which ensures that we have good governance, democracy, and the electoral process are things that have really been excited about. And it's wonderful that ARCON put this together. ARCON, as it is, as a regulatory body, now with the powers that it have, would want to see ARCON go a step further.
Everybody involved or engaged in advertising, especially as it relates to political advertising, political campaign, or the business of advertising in Nigeria, must be aware that there is a new law in Nigeria. Secondly, this law, this act is an act of the National Assembly, and it now empowers ARCON to set standards
when it comes to advertising to guide federal, state, and local government authorities that have one thing or the other to do with advertising in Nigeria.
You now have an ARCON Act, which are strengthening the performance and functions of ARCON. Originally, from the original name, Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria. It's a council for practitioners, and they also work together. We used to work together to promote, improve the activities of the practitioners. But eventually it turned out that that council became a regulatory body, formulating guidelines and policies about the practice of advertising in Nigeria, and also now monitoring and regulating the activities of that industry as regards all the participants or members or the constituents.
The intention of the Advertising Regulatory Council is to ensure that those who practice advertising, which is also why we set up ARCON, that there are some rules and guidelines that must be followed.
Every law has a way of offending some others and making some others feel okay. But the important thing about law is that you don't fall foul of the law. No law, I can't say any law is tough for me, because there must be a reason for setting up such law, and after that, to follow it up. Otherwise, the punitive measures will come. No law is difficult.
From the theme of the event, we're hoping that we'll have a direction on political advertising, okay? We need to see politicians who come up as leaders. We need to see them comply with the laws of the nation, not just take things as they feel they should.
There's an increased awareness of the importance of vetting and approving advertisements before they're exposed in any media whatsoever. Definitely we could do a lot better in terms of compliance, but it's encouraging and it could be a lot better too.
It's a good initiative, and like a lot of the speakers have said, it's actually one of the many other sessions that will be held pre, during, and possibly post the electioneering period. And I think it's something everybody has to be very conversant with, and all the takes, the benefits, so that the populace won't get heated unnecessarily.
It's insightful, particularly for the stakeholders who are here. I have a good knowledge and idea about what is being talked about, because the law was made by us and baked by us, so we have knowledge of what it is. So, but we must continue to sensitize Nigerians on the need to be law-abiding, and they need to have a regulated advertising industry so that people can pursue their political campaign in a structured and well-coordinated manner. I think I congratulate ARCON for putting this together, and every stakeholder that has made one contribution or the other to the success of this event.
There is need to properly define the political advertising in Nigeria, and also see the role each stakeholder need to play as far as advertising, political advertising is concerned, to ensure that we have a better electioneering section come 2023.
The primary purpose is to sensitize the political gladiators and their stakeholders, to make them understand there's need for us to apply ethics in the political campaign. As we are all aware, political era is always fraught with so many challenges, misinformation, comparative advertising, and all those unethical practices. But I think today we've been able to educate the stakeholders, and we've been able to also get their commitment that going forward, as in going into the political campaign era, everybody will behave ethically.
Once again, we congratulate the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ably led by its Director General, Dr. Olalekan Fadolapo.